Hi, and welcome to Practice Insights, the channel dedicated to supporting independent consultants with tools and techniques to help win gigs and deliver client engagement. Our aim is to become a hub of valued resources for freelancers, interims and contractors by providing you with information on every aspect of consulting life, from setting up, finding work, delivering your assignments and preparing for retirement. So if you're interested in consulting, then make sure to check us out. This video is episode 5 of our Consulting Essentials series, which provides short overviews of the most commonly used consulting tools. The series is aimed at people who may be newer to consulting, but it's also a quick way to refresh your memory if you're more experienced. And the subject of today's video is the Pest Model. So let's break it down together. The Pest Model is generally attributed to Francis Aguilar, professor at Harvard Business School, who wrote extensively discussing the various factors affecting business. Within the Pest Model, there are 4 primary factors or forces that act upon markets. These are political, economic, social, and technological, hence Pest. Now, the model provides optics through which you can identify macro-level factors to determine what trends and opportunities may exist. Like SWOT, check out episode 2, and 4-5 forces, check out episode 6. Pest is predominantly used when formulating strategy, planning for new market entry, or undertaking scenario analysis. So Pest is a useful strategic analysis tool to help identify external factors affecting your industry. So let's take a look at each of the 4 Pest factors in more detail. Political factors. Very few markets, sectors, products or services escape political influence. It can dramatically affect costs, efficacy, and the general ease of doing business. So when you are undertaking your pest analysis, remember to include the following domains. Political stability. Now, most likely your initial instincts will pull you towards assessing risks of military action and civil unrest, which is very sensible. However, you should also seek to unwrap the other aspects of stability. Think political change like Brexit or ideological moves to left or right that can radically shift the national psyche, cultural outlooks, and levels of social tolerance, all of which can transform marketplaces, creating risks and opportunities. Next up is government policies, and most governments have regulations and administrative positions that affect business. Your macro analysis here will need to identify those specific policies that affect your specific industry. It's also prudent to assess the political prevailing winds to see where policy might push industry short, medium and long term. A perfect example here is climate change policies that influence domestic positions on renewables, emissions and the use of products like plastics. Taxes on goods, which include sales taxes, value-added taxes, service tax and import duties, will obviously influence the cost and revenues of domestic goods and imports. Taxes on people and companies impact earnings and profits, which in turn affect the availability of investment funding, which could influence your growth plans. Environmental laws, these affect things like waste disposal, product labeling, as well as the chemicals that you can and can't use. And finally, labour laws affect hiring, firing, pensions, maternity, public holidays, minimum wage, etc. Now, pest economic factors will determine the appeal of a marketplace, and your analysis should consider the following: regional GDP and economic prosperity, inflation and interest rates, mean household incomes and disposable incomes, employment and unemployment rates, the skills and competencies that exist and their associated costs, things like distribution and other infrastructure, and any cost advantages a region or market has, like skills and materials, economic trends, growth trends, credit availability, exchange rates and their stability. Now, social factors are those forces that affect the workforce and the buyers of your products and services. So here think about the following: population size and growth rates, the language is spoken, the demographic makeup of the population, so its age, gender, religion, education, skills, and household composition. Think class structures, country, health and life expectancy, the culture of the population, its willingness and ability to work, and finally, any ethical considerations you might need to bear in mind. Now, technological factors are important because they influence cost and affect innovation. Factors to be mindful of here include technology infrastructure, so broadband, technology skills, technology adoption, patent protection, and the types and speed of technology change. In reality, the number of factors you can consider in Pest are potentially endless. So remember to keep your research aligned to the core aims of Pest, which is to help you create macro-level analysis to determine market attractiveness. Normally Pest is used in conjunction with other tools like SWOT analysis and Porter's 5 forces. So in the diagram here you will see a visual representation of the relationship between these tools. To start, gather your macro analysis using Pest and take each trend identified through a SWOT analysis to identify opportunities and threats. Use Porter's 5 forces on your SWOT outputs to gather a better idea as to which factors matter in your particular circumstances. So there are 4 general steps required to use this tool set. Step 1, undertake your primary quantitative and qualitative research. So basically this means collect a lot of data. Now it can be daunting to look at a new market, region or country and blindly start a pest analysis. So unless you're doing general market research, you will need some focus. Ideally, you would start with some competitor analysis to assess their capabilities, products, services, costs, revenues and operating structures, partnerships and any other factors that you feel are relevant. Use this data to provide a focus for your pest analysis. Step 2, identify as many sector trends as you can: market size, segmentation, seasonality, price, barriers to entry, products and service substitutes, supplier relationships and new potential entrants. Step 3 involves using Porter's 5 forces to assess the impacts of your trend analysis on the competitive dynamics within your industry. And step 4, finally, is an evaluation of the information that you've gathered. So we've covered a lot of theory with the Pest model so far. Now it might be useful to take a quick look at a simple mock-up that I hope will help contextualize the intended use of the tool. For this example, you and I are consultants hired by a HR and payroll IT systems and service provider to help them plan their entry into a new country. They're a modern provider using modern architectures and they have development and support functions in India and also out in the Philippines. So we get to work assessing the competitive landscape and feed this information through Pest. We quickly identify that there's a suite of imminent labour legislative changes coming that will cause significant market disruption for the incumbent HR payroll providers. These providers don't seem well placed to respond to these changes as they use older architectures and legacy platforms. Our analysis of the social factors suggests that post-COVID employees are more demanding and require more freedom to work remotely from home and from overseas. The salary expectations and flexibility have also changed. We then uncovered economic considerations relating to emission targets and pricing. Lastly, we note the proliferation of 5G and infrastructure as a service and software as a service throughout the country. Now, happy with our pest opportunities analysis, we turn to threats. We note that legislation will drive significant upheaval for HR payroll providers. They all need compliant systems and services. We can see that access to the skills is potentially problematic if sourced domestically. Clearly, we are in a period of socio-cultural change and employees now have different expectations about how and where they work. There's also significant demand for meaningful action on climate change, especially reduction to urban emissions. Resource scarcity is pushing up costs, which are compounded by rising inflation, which is creating a trend towards using resources from cheaper markets overseas. Lastly, we note our potential competitors have little room to move as their intellectual property sits within legacy IT systems and architectures. We now take all that pest trend analysis and use Porter's 5 forces to start making some sense of how it might actually affect our client. Clearly, there are some barriers to market entry and access to expertise required to translate new legislation into product and service. Every single business will need compliant software, so customer demand will be high and their bargaining positioning weak. Interestingly, the same low bargaining position applies to the incumbent HR payroll providers who don't have compliant service and will need massive investments to rebuild their systems. We judge the threat of substitution as low and conclude that competitive rivalry will level the playing field. It's a really interesting landscape for us and our client, and lots of work ahead to build a detailed market entry strategy to explore the opportunities and mitigate the risk posed by threats. So what can we conclude about Pest? Well, I hope that the mocked example we just ran through, while at a very high level, illustrates how the tool can guide your research and hone your analysis. It provides a good, structured framework for conducting an overall scan of the macro environment. Pest is a good method for identifying relevant factors at play within a given sector. It can be used flexibly and scaled according to your own particular goals and to your own particular circumstances. It's a useful exercise to undertake that will provide valuable inputs for your strategic planning and for new market entry planning. For best results, however, keep it focused and combine it with other tools and frameworks. So thank you so much for stopping by. If you found this summary of the Pest framework useful, then please hit the like button and consider subscribing, as we will be developing detailed step-by-step how-to video guides for each tool in the Consulting Essentials series. We'll also be running live sessions that you can attend where we will workshop Pest together in real time. Hope to see you in the next video, and until then, happy consulting.